And most of the things we have in this world are unquestionable religions. Fracking's a religion, and geoengineering isn't a religion, isn't it? You know, Agenda 21's a religion, and global warming, that's another religion. It's belief without the full proof. There's no such thing as these foolproof. They've just got these belief systems, and then they'll impose their belief. And when they start imposing belief, what is that? At least you got the choice to choose to believe Nietzsche or not. But I know Nietzsche has had an influence in society. He's still talked about, you know. And one of the most predominant things that's talked about is the idea of the Superman. Well, Superman's still here. The recycled myth, which is Jesus Christ recycled. But he ain't about Jesus Christ's teachings, is he? So in the technology, in the advancement of the media that produces Superman comics, they forgot the original teachings. So did we gain or lose by having this myth? Because Superman's the new technology, innit? On Jesus Christ wasn't super enough, you know. If you was alive in the times of Jesus, fish soup ain't super, is not super enough. So that's really what it is. It's about people realizing that a lot of our truths are based in reality, and we give them myth, and we sometimes make the myth the important bit, and the truth, the reality, the real, gets forgotten. And it's time to go back to what's important, ethics and morals, because they're the fabric of the question. That's what everything is made out of.
Bullshit.
Well, you can live to disagree, but I believe that's the case.
With moral and ethics when it comes to love.
The thing about it is you don't have to legislate.
The love of God is
when it's automatic. If love needs legislating, then it's because it's lacking. And that's why I say people don't understand the government has become a reflection of themselves. Agent Smith is you. You think you're neo-fighting Agent Smith. No, the government's become nanny state because you didn't want to be responsible for anything. That's what it really boils down to. No self-responsibility. They don't want to read Nietzsche. They just want to have it paraphrased and put in a 30-second, soundbite. And then that's Nietzsche enough for them. Well, I don't want it like that. I want my information to be challenged, and I don't mind you challenging it, but come with some information then, because it's not enough to say that's not. It's like, what's his name? Jesse Ventura talking about chemtrails and geoengineering. In fact, he didn't even mention geoengineering. He just went chemtrails throughout the whole thing, and he didn't bring anything scientific to it. He just had a bunch of opinions. You understand? And we're having a bunch of opinions, but I want people to go and ask the fundamental philosophical paradoxes that we have, that arise out of morals and ethics. That's what it is. Morals and ethics are created because we love.
So you're saying they're created now? They're not eternal. They're created.
Everything's created. Just if we weren't created, we wouldn't even be able to interact with such a plane of existence.
Morals seem to change with every different.
No, they're eternally unchanging because certain aspects of us are eternally unchanging.
Of course they change. The prevalent codes and ethics people might be.
Maybe the way you look at love is different to the way that I look at love. Yeah, maybe that's just the way it is. But again, that's the diversity of life, and we accept that. You giving your girlfriend I suppose, a joyride on the back of a motorcycle might be love, and another person it's a bunch of flowers, and that's love. But that's because you're just saying it's just that, and you're not realizing I'm talking about the experience love. I don't know what you love, but when you're in love, you know what that is. That's why you can't prove the existence of love without the existence of a human being there to experience it.
There was what words come up in Game of Thrones was like, love is the death of beauty, or love is the end of beauty.
Whoa. That just sounds like, you know, Illuminati screenplay wrote in because recently we are talking about love. Love is the end of duty. I think love is the beginning of duty, to be honest. In the real world, it's all right to fictionalize it and talk like a bunch of Romans who want to conquest places, and you know what I mean, and will kill each other just to have the power. But you know, now you've got the power. Some people think it's just about having all the power, and then when you're actually in the power, you get scared because you realise actually there's a bunch of people and they're looking at me now, and I've got the power and they expect me to do something. If I do the wrong thing, I'm dead, mate. So then they suddenly start implementing a bunch of systems which are just placations, and they're just delays for the inevitable. It's inevitable from the day that a system like that is built up that it has to fail, because nobody's going to accept absolute rule from another human being. It's always inevitable that the human race will wake up and realise one day that's slavery.
Flat.
That's slavery.
Jules, you took 1,800 words to my one word. What about the story of David now, biblical terms? And there was a guy who had a wife, and David had his eye on this wife, yeah? You know the story. Mm-hmm. So he impregnated this wife of this guy anyway. And when he found out she's going to have a child, he called the soldier back from the field. Very beautiful soldier.
Uriah,
had a very lovely wife.
Yeah.
Doubtless he was in love with her himself, even though David took him. Now, in his feeling of duty, he wasn't willing to share a bed with a woman whilst his troops are out there in the field. No, man, he's going to camp outside and feel the vibe of duty with his brethren who are suffering on the front lines. He's not going to go in and sleep with his wife. So, whereas the love part, I love me woman more than I love me duty, to a wider purpose, this is a very selfish.
That's what I'm saying. You're talking from the prospect of war.
Well, so
like there was an absolute, but you know, who started the war?
No, but who
started the war? So let's go back then, because wasn't it right? Israel was given an opportunity of peace, but they had to share the land. Okay, and what did Levi and Simeon do? That caused a enmity that lasted generations. Okay, that's why these things was going on, because man divides himself with his actions, and his actions come out of his thoughts of fear, right? Oh, because we forgot about that, because when a man commits a wrong in the Old Testament, according to the law, it's an eye for an eye, innit? So in an eye for an eye, because Sister Diana was raped, yeah, even though the reconciliation was made and they said, right, we'll make them become our tribe, so we can settle that, and we'll make them get married, so that what was now was considered a sin is now forgiven, even though it was gone about in a messed up way. But check it, they were so into revenge, getting revenge and getting one over and proving their point, that they went overboard and killed all the males, and through that action created an enmity. When actually the rift had been repaired, that eye for an eye, yeah, in being conniving in trying to get an answer, yeah, because if you're doing it without sincerity, you're not going to win. You end up losing more than you gain.
Yeah, tremendous setbacks.
Yeah, so King David, again, he was just being a man. He was just being lustful. He wanted the man's wife, and he sent Uriah to the front line knowing he'd be killed. Yeah, because the presence of the flesh, because he was dealing with the flesh. He wasn't spiritual like Solomon, right? He was dealing with the flesh. He was a man of the flesh. That's why he was a man of war, and he had blood on his hands. But for that same reason, a man of the flesh is not going to build the temple of God, because the temple of God symbolically is built in the spiritual domain, and it superimposes over the flesh world. If it's not superimposed into your mind, you will not manifest in the flesh.
You don't think
the
Solomon
spiritual.
was fleshly?
What?
You don't think Solomon was fleshly?
Yeah, of course he was. Of course he was. But the reason it's written,
And hearken to his wife.
but he built the temple, and he was considered the wisest. And what's wisdom at the end of the day? Yeah, because these are spiritual domains being made manifest.
As Messiah says, greater than Solomon is here. But some people don't have ears to hear.
Yeah, Jesus came.
Jesus.
Jesus.
What does Jesus symbolize? You're just picking on it and the fact that I'm saying Jesus. You're not looking at the power of the myth and what it symbolizes, how man can rise up, even in generations, and ideas can transform us all. We're all Jesus for that matter. We're all like gods for that matter. We're all creators for that matter. But if you follow the wrong examples, or you get mixed up, or you get half a story and don't study for yourself, like I've studied the Bible for myself, so give thanks when people say certain things. We know where we're up to, but you don't necessarily have time to study everything. So that's why you want your sources of information to be accurate. Television is a great tool because you can summarize the key elements, because we know every man goes to brush his teeth, go toilet. We don't need to know those things if we're trying to find out the unique information, because it's the unique information where we differ, and unique information is therefore a treasure and special and should be invested in and should be looked for and listened to. Do we have enough unique information, or have we all become clones of the, is that a healthy place for the human brain to be? Clones of each other's information, don't come outside the box. I don't think it is. You'll end up with everything being the same forever. You know why we've not answered the fundamental questions? Because it scares people. It's not a question for anyone else to answer.
Questions.
It's a question for yourself to answer, to say, am I righteous? Am I doing it? Because you can't change nobody. That's take a horse to water, you can't make it drink.
No.
Some people are stubborn like that. They don't want to learn that, and so then they get caught in trying to force others to learn it, but actually they forgot to do it themselves, and they die of dehydration because they forget to drink the water. It's not just the horse that needs to drink the water. And what's more important anyway? Is it that your horse drinks the water or you drink the water? We try so much to care for our brothers and sisters, but we can be bearers of bad information ourselves, so we've always got to be striving for that best information. And therefore we could teach, but sometimes then we have to go back to school and get a bit more, so
Up the mountain.
Up the mountain, spiritual concept. And so Solomon, not having to reside in war as much, could reside more in the decadence of these thoughts. And that's why the decadence of the thoughts can sometimes lead to thoughts that are corrupt thoughts, because it becomes full circle. It's like you've got the best out of that system of doing things that you can get. You've maximised it, and now it needs an entirely new process because we've gone as small as we can go.
Shall we start wrapping things up then?
Yeah. So it's that. It's about all of us growing together, and knowledge has got to transform us, and we've got to transform knowledge.
The knowledge of the glory of the I Am will cover the earth as the waters cover the sea.
But without its interaction and placing that knowledge as something you can do for a human being, surely it's useless. Surely the purpose of having that wisdom is the application of that particular knowledge, so that we are all at peace, we are all, truly beneficiaries of love, grace, mercy. That's what wisdom really resides in. That's how wisdom is able to make peace with everybody. That's true wisdom. That's eternal. And the things that create that, the kindness and the good deeds that create that, those are eternal things. We could change you to an alien race, but certain things will be the same forever. That's what's eternal virtues. That's eternal values, eternal morals. It's always going to be right to do that. It's always going to be wrong to do that.